Alright guys, I just got out of seeing Infinity Pool by David Cronenberg's son, and I have to say this is definitely a David Cronenberg movie. He takes after his father. I don't really want to go into describing what the story is even about. I went into this completely blind, not seeing a single trailer, just I knew that the name Cronenberg was attached to this movie. And Mia Goth as well. And Skarsgård. That's all I knew. Had no idea what it was about. Went into it, and it was one of the most insane films I have seen in a long time. So let's just get right into the review. I'm gonna talk spoilers at the end just briefly and hit on a couple things. But ultimately, it's gonna be a spoiler-free review. I recommend you go see it, even click off this review, go see it blind. You don't need to know anything about it. It's fun, it's definitely worth a watch. One-time watch, but it may not be for you. So first things first, I think the acting is absolutely fantastic and it's phenomenal all throughout it, especially Mia Goth. She was great in every single scene she was in, except for one. There was one part of the film that she was in specifically that, as much as I liked her in X and Pearl and I liked her in this movie, that one scene, it was towards the end of the movie, like the climactic parts of the movie, her character does certain things that just come off annoying. And you're like, oh god, please shut up. That's what kind of grinded my gears. The direction of the story was awesome. I didn't know where it was going. The idea of, I'm going to talk about what was in the trailers though, so mild spoilers right now. They committed crime, and the main characters committed crime, and the one guy has to agree to have a double of him created, like a clone that has his memories and all that. It's a very compelling idea and concept, and he has to watch that person die, and you're trying to figure out, is this person who's still alive the clone or the real person? And then it's like this spiritual reawakening for them to go through the process of that, and then they get some sort of pleasure from watching themselves die and be murdered. So they go out into this foreign country on this resort that they're at, and they commit more crimes, so they have to have more doubles created of them. But again, is it them who's being put to death, or is it the double? This movie has a wide range of emotions and themes all throughout. It's erotic at some points, like very erotic. And I swear there's some cuts in the movie, just like 1 second little shots that I think borderlines porn. Like, I kid you not. Like, there's some shots I'm like, I think I know what I just saw. I don't really want to talk about it here, but there's a certain scene in later on in the movie when everyone's together, and there was this quick shot, and it was from where the camera was positioned inside of something, and something coming at the camera. I mean, if you get what I'm saying, congrats. If not, I'm done explaining it. Yeah, when I saw that, I'm like, did I just see what I saw? What, I was looking around, but like, it was just such a weird scene. And there was a lot of people in my theater. I know a lot of people are saying that the theater was generally empty for them. There's a lot of people in my theater, and it was just a very dreadful and depraved movie from beginning to end. It was the first two acts, I think, were better than the last act. The last act, I think, didn't really do as much for me as the first two acts. I was fully compelled, and with the story and the characters, even though the characters weren't all that likable, I was with that journey, and it was sadistic. It was, I had this anxiety winding up in me all throughout the entire movie. It was just it was very well directed, phenomenally directed. Like, the cinematography was beautiful. It was a gorgeous movie. The gore was very good in it. It was just uncomfortable, and this is a horror movie not because of jump scares. It's a horror movie because of the themes that are explored. It is a horror movie because of the visuals that we are exposed to. Stuff that we would find erotic and pleasurable quickly turns into a disgusting, uncomfortable scene. Like, you're watching certain scenes, you're like, oh, that body part is usually pretty sexy. Earlier in the scene, it was pretty sexy. And then less than 20 seconds later, some gross things are occurring, and you're like, wow, this movie's really going for it. I think this movie is great on all fronts. Except for the final act. I think it kind of takes it down a couple notches. I just think that it gets a little too crazy for me, and it gets a little too hokey and cheesy for me. I'm like, okay, now it's just getting annoying. I kind of get what they were going for in Rebirth. You won't know what I mean until you actually watch the movie. The ideas are fully compelling. I think it's a great concept. We don't know what country it's located in. They never tell us. I think it's this fictional location. Yeah, I think it's just a very well done horror movie. I want to go back and see his previous film, Possessor, if it's anything like this, like in that dark, twisted sense of horror. And I think he's a good director. I'm looking forward to more of his films. So I'm just gonna get right into my rating before I get into the spoilers. I don't want to talk too much about this movie because I think you guys should go experience this in the theaters itself, or on streaming. It's not necessarily a theater experience that is needed to watch this movie. You can watch it at your home and be probably just as satisfied with it. My rating for the film is an 8.2 out of 10. The third act brings it down from probably a 9 out of 10 to an 8.2. But other than that, this movie was just a terrific horror film from beginning to end, and I was engaged with the characters and the story and the horror itself the entire time. The visuals were just, I didn't want to look away. At the same time, I did want to look away. All right, let's get right into the spoilers. So the scene that I didn't care for that really brought it down was when the lead character, Skarsgård, is on a bus trying to leave after he kind of gets embarrassed by this group of people he's been with. And this group of people kind of stop the bus in a very cheesy, weird kind of way. And then Mia Goth, who's been fantastic this entire movie, starts screaming at the top of her lungs, Jamesy. And I'm like, what? Like, this is just really bad. Please be quiet. Stop. Like, just have this. Like, she was going way too over the top with it. I didn't like it at all. I thought she just sounded really annoying. It wasn't scary. It was just cringy. This film was just uncomfortable the entire time. And then that was the only time in the movie that this film was uncomfortable for all the wrong reasons. Everything else after that was good. Everything before that was great. Yeah, just that one scene really knocked it down because it pulled me out of the film so much. And I'm like, but I like the story. I like the idea of rebirth and killing your former self and all that kind of stuff because this man wasn't fully happy with himself. He wasn't happy with his life that he was living. His wife didn't respect him at all. And now he was completely kind of like changing and being reborn. I mean, there's some gnarly, gnarly stuff in this movie. And it's definitely all about rebirth. And you never fully get the answer of if these people are clones or not, or if they're the real people. I'm going to say they're probably clones. Maybe. I'm thinking they're clones. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Go watch this movie. This movie's insane. So, yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about the spoilers. I don't think I really need to. I just wanted to talk about what I didn't like, and what I didn't like was more of a spoiler. So, I initially wasn't going to put a spoiler section on this video, but I felt like I had to. So yeah, this film's an 8.2 out of 10. I recommend you go see it. Mia Goth chooses another sexually charged horror film from a very artsy company called Neon, which is like the opposition to A24. I think she's a great actress. I'm going to watch more horror films that she's in. I think she's absolutely breathtaking. This is a very, very good horror film. It will make you uncomfortable and isn't for everybody. All right, that's it for this episode. I will talk to you guys later.